Morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's going on? Go ahead, shoot.
Alex, how's the offensive line coming together?
Good progress. We're only day 5, right? 4th day of practice. We had a walkthrough, so still a work in progress. Work in progress, far from a finished product, and we'll never be a finished product. But we just, as long as they work, give effort, finish, chase the ball, we'll continue to grow as an O-line. So we're growing. We're growing.
Coach, how would you compare last year cohesion and technique versus this year?
You know what? They're all separate, right? They're all separate entities. Every year you start from scratch. You don't build upon, so we finished our season, then you start anew, right? So you got to lay the foundation all over again. So does it help? Yeah, because those guys were around me, what we teach, technique, fundamentals, and stuff like that. But you always start from square one, right? So we don't. When the freshmen get here, when they got here in January, the juniors, the seniors, the sophomores, they're doing the same drills, the same fundamentals that the seniors are. So it's important that we have an experienced group, but it's important for us not to forget about the fundamentals of the game of football, right? So that's something that we made a conscious effort to make sure that we went back and started with the footwork just like they were high school kids, right? Instead of making the young kids catch up, we brought the older guys back down to refresh and refine the basic fundamentals of blocking.
Alex, the last 2 years you guys brought in transfer centers in Matt Lee and Zach Carpenter. Both of them were very successful.
Yeah.
Now you have James. What makes you guys so good at integrating new centers into this offensive line?
Well, that's what we do, right? It's not only the centers, but it's every kid in that room. Every kid in that room every day has to be acclimated, has to be assimilated into how we do things, right? From a cultural standpoint in the program, from how we call things inside the offensive line. So that's just a daily thing, right? And it's a daily thing, and it's important that when you're recruiting, right, whether it's a high school kid or a transfer portal kid in Brockermeyer's sense, that you're recruiting the right kids, right? You're recruiting kids that are willing to put themselves aside for the betterment of the group, right? And we talk about that in our room. Our most important thing that we've been focusing on since January is to be proud of the room and not jealous of the room, right? And that's my job as a coach. Just as it is teaching the fundamentals of a base block or a reach block or a pass set is also the cohesion, right? Especially in this world nowadays, right? Where it's what can I get for myself, right? Well, one of the things that I got to do is that we do in this program, but specifically in the offensive line because it's such a unit, is try to strip selfishness, right? And make it more about us as a unit than one individual.
Coach, what strides did you see Matt McCoy make last year, and where do you feel like is the next step in his game?
Yeah. You know what, Matt was a kid that last year played 13 games and at the end of the season ended up having major shoulder surgery, right? People didn't know this, but that happened during camp, right? That happened in camp, and he toughed it throughout the entire season, right? Because he said, absolutely not, I'm not having surgery. I am not having surgery, Coach. I've worked my way to this position here of being a contributor, and Coach, I'll take care of it whenever I can. And whenever he could was the day after the bowl game, right? So Matt McCoy, that's toughness to me, right? Toughness is when you continue to show up, when you continue to produce, when you continue to play while your body is not feeling 100%. It's easy to play football when your body is feeling 100%. It's tough to play when you have the bumps and the bruises and the tears and stuff like that, and he fought through it. And not only did he play every game, but he didn't miss a darn practice, right? And that's pretty darn important. So what he did was he told us, hey, I'm tough enough, and B, you can trust me.
Alex, how did you like when you guys went to primarily the 6-man rotation with that top group? How did you feel it worked out?
You know what? There's nothing that says, hey, listen, this year we're going to go 6-man rotation, or this year we're going to go 7-man rotation. What creates that is when you take one of those 5 guys out, when you put that other guy in, is there a big drop-off? If there is, then you don't do it, right? So it's got to be warranted, right? It's got to be warranted that, you have Cam Ward last year, you have a Carson Beck, right? You can't just put a guy in at any of the positions just to give him reps when you got a guy back there you got to keep up on his feet, right? So do you trust that 6th guy to make sure that And not only do you trust them, me, but do the other 4 guys, the other 5 guys, do they trust that individual? So that's something that is gained through camp, through off-season workouts, through spring ball, right? That, okay, now do we have 6 guys this year? I don't know. Do we've got 5? I don't know yet. That's what we're working on now, right? So it's got to be something that you earn to allow you to do that, right? We didn't play 6 guys because we wanted to keep one of them fresh, right? We played 6 guys because we felt that there wasn't a drop off when it was Ryan to McCoy, right? Because that was it at the beginning, right? It wasn't Markel, right? And then, right, Ryan got hurt at Florida and Jalen got hurt at Florida, right? So now it became Markel, right? And it was Markel and the crew, and then Jalen came back, right? Well, during that time that Jalen was away, Markel earned the right to continue to play, and we trusted him that he would help keep Ward on his feet, right? So then when Jalen came back, okay, how do we continue to give Markel reps while we get Jalen back in? And so that's kind of how it goes. It's you got to trust him. Yeah.
Do you feel like the trust building process is now with Carson and your group?
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And you know why? He's a tremendous competitor. All right, Carson is a tremendous competitor. You know, just like Cam was last year. Different, but competitor, right? And also he's done a great job of getting their buy-in because he's unbelievable in knowing protections, in turning protections, in checking us and putting the run plays to right looks. He's really advanced at that in those areas and aspects, right? And a tribute to the program he came from, right? With Monken and Bobo, they did a heck of a job teaching him those things, right? So all of a sudden, you know, we're on the offensive line, we get a certain look, we make a certain call, but he checks us to a different protection, and boy, it works, and it hits, right? And it's perfect. Well, guess what? All right, earn trust, right? You with me? So he's done it by his work, by being around, right? And just how he is every day. He's someone he's comfortable in his skin. I mean, he's a competitor. He's very calm, and he's very cool. And when I say cool, I'm talking about things don't rattle him, right? So that's how he's gained those guys' trust, just on a daily basis on how he does it. You know, he might not take them to prime 112 yet, right? But that's not what it's about. That wasn't what it's about with Cam, right? It was about him, you know, putting them in the right situations on the field so they can succeed. If you do that, that's how you gain each other's trust, right? Same thing up front. How do you gain trust up front? You gain trust up front when you make a call to CC or make a call to Bell or to Brockermeyer and things work. Now Brockermeyer, Bell, CC, Cooper, now they trust that person, right? So it's the same way.
I think you mentioned in the spring about Markel Bell being a totally different player than he was when he got here.
Yeah.
How has that progress continued into the fall?
Oh, it's phenomenal. You know, I know he's 6'9", he's 340-something pounds, right? But Markel Bell is no longer 6'9" to anybody. Now that he's just a good football player, right? Now people don't ask him, hey, do you play basketball, right? Now it's, man, you know, this kid's pretty good, you know? And he's worked himself, he's prepared himself into being the player that he is. You know, when right before camp, we had about 7-8 days off that they had off, right? And instead of going back home to Mississippi or hanging out here on the beach, he actually went to Frisco, Texas. There's an offensive line trainer there, Duke Manyweather, who does a really good job with, he trains a lot of guys before they go into the NFL, trains a lot of college guys too, right? And so Markel went and spent his vacation there working, right? Which is why he's developed. There's no magic to it, right? The secret is in the work. The secret is in the dirt. And so that's why he's gotten better. And he keeps getting better because he's got that drive. He's got a lot of pride inside of him, right? And he's a different player today than he was practice 15 of spring 2025.
We'll do 3 more questions.
Coach, who do you feel like stepped up in making sure the O-line is locked in, especially in this fall camp?
You know what? I've got a veteran group, right? So I'd be it's CC, right, and Inez, and Bell, and Brockermeyer. And the reason I say that is, A, are they starters? Yeah, but I hear them, I see them. I think the kids now say check. They check people, right? They check people if they're not upholding the standards of the culture of our program, right? So that's how they've done it, right? Today, our major point of emphasis for us today was finishing, right? Chasing the ball, right? So I told them, hey, Coop, that's on you, man. Hey, Cease, that's on you. Hey, Kel, that's on you. You do it, the rest of them dudes are going to do it, right? So like that, you know, holding others accountable, right? And then also putting it on film, right? But like we tell them, like Coach Cristobal tells them, don't go holding somebody else accountable until you hold yourself accountable first, right? And that's what they've done. You've seen how Maui Noah, how Cooper, how Bell, how Brockermeyer, how they've changed their bodies, right? So that when they tell you, hey, this is what, so like Brockermeyer, for instance, Brockermeyer, we have meetings at 7:30 in the morning. At 6:15, he's in the weight room, right? Prehabilitating stuff, stretching, flexibility, doing that stuff, and he's got Buchanan in there with him, right? I told Brock, that's your legacy. Your legacy is how do you teach Buchanan to prepare himself for practice, right? It's not in trophies, it's not in rings, it's in that, because that's going to last, right? So that's how they've been doing it.
Two more questions.
Depth is so important on the O-line.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't get to see the depth. We get to see the starters.
Yeah.
But just can you take us through some of the depth guys, how they're coming along? Guys like Tom, the guys that have stuck around,
Yeah.
Sampson,
Yeah.
those type of guys.
You know what? They're doing tremendous. You know, Sampson is having a great camp so far. 5 days in it. You know, he's another one. You know, Sam's another one that had at the end of last season had something on his finger, so he had to get that repaired when the season ended. That happened way in the middle of the season. He toughed it out through, right? And then he had it, and he's someone that, you know, in my opinion, he could. There's how many? I don't know how many. 17 teams in the ACC. We've probably got 8, 9 guys in our O-line room that could start in any ACC program. I firmly believe that. I think he's one of them. I think, you know, Tommy's one of them. You know, Ryan's one of them. McCoy's one of them. You know, we've got a lot, and we got to keep going, right? Some of these young guys, Alafai Tuli, Buchanan. I mean, they're coming now. Those two dudes are going to be great players. Great players. I mean, they're running with the twos majority of the time, and they're having to block. You know, sometimes they get matched up, and because the D-line rotates differently, you know, they get matched up with Moten, or they get matched up with Lowe, or they get matched up. Oh, there's Bain. Well, you want to play? You got to block Bain. If you can't block a Bain, you can't block a Bain at Notre Dame, or you can't block a Bain at Bethune or South Florida, right? So, and they got to go, and so those guys just keep growing, and they're doing a great job. And you know what? You said something, you know, and I've said it the other day in the media. You know, we talk about the transfer portal, and we criticize kids that jump in the transfer portal and go away. Yet we want to question kids that stay, right? And that's messed up. You can't have it both ways, right? You can't have it both ways, right? These are kids that obviously stayed here because they believe in the program and because the program believes in them, right? When I say they, them and their parents believe in the program and the program believes in them, and they're developing. They're developing to the point, and that's how you create depth, right? You create depth through development, through belief, through trust from the player and the coaches and the players and the parents, right? And I think that's important, right? I think kids that stay, right, should be praised, right? Not criticized or critiqued, right? I think that's important to do. And hey, you know what? The guys that leave, that's their well, they can do that too. But the guys that say that should be glorified, right? Right? And we've been blessed in our offensive line rooms 2 years in a row that we only have one transfer, right? And our goal is that someday, man, we hope someday we don't have to do that no more, right? That they're homegrown, and that's something that Coach Cristobal, myself, and the guys in the offensive line room are very proud of. I mean, we're very proud of it. Now, you know, you can't tell me, like Brockermeyer, heck, you can't tell me he hasn't been here for 4 years. That's how much he's bought into the program, right? Into how we do it and why we do it. And he's a major guy in helping us push the standards and the culture that Coach Cristobal creates.
One last question.
Yeah.
We saw you in Shells today, your group. Just what did you think of the physicality of your group?
Yeah. So our group's always full pads, you know? I mean, we're always full pads, even if there's no pads on. If we're in spiders or shells, see, we don't cut, right? And as an offensive line, we don't cut, right? And so, I mean, we're in shells. It's full go for us. I mean, it's full go for us, right? Now, we don't go to the ground. Like, we don't, if we're driving somebody, we don't put them on the ground because that's not what we're doing. We stay up, but we're full go. You know, I mean, like when you guys, we go full pads, the lowers, how does that, all it does to an O-lineman is protect their legs. That doesn't help the O-lineman block anybody. You know what I'm saying? So when we're in shells, for us, for the D-line, it's full pack jack, you know? So for us, it's so like whenever we go full pads, it's funny because all the little DBs and wide receivers, they're like little parakeets chirping, right? Well, we held the O-line, D-line, they look at each other, man, that's old hat for us. We've been doing this since day one, right? And I think that's the way it is around the whole country, you know? And so, yeah, it's not a big deal when we put on shells. When we put on shells, hey, let's roll. It's just something else we got to carry, you know? And so when we go to put on full pads, it'll be nothing. It's just I'll have to let him out of the O-line room a little bit earlier because it's going to take him a little longer to get dressed, but that's about it.
We'll wrap it up there.
Hey, appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Thank you.